Good morning from the land where strange lines left by aeroplane leaves on the sky strange patterns that slowly turns to become clouds. What they are is a mystery. What is sure, they are lying to us. What is sure is that they're lying to us. So I'm not here to talk about chemtrails, even if eventually one day I will do a video about that. But I'm actually here to talk about something else, something that happened a long time ago. First of all, just to stick with the society conditioning, you know, I should have started wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I mean, this is what any good brainwashed citizen will say each year, every year, and then, you know, close to any celebrations will repeat a script that is already made for us since we are little babies. That conditionings that make us believe that anything that we see and hearing is the truth. No questions, no thoughts about what all of this it is. Just take it for as it is. We told you that, and you must believe it. That's why, like good robots, we repeat, you know, the good script. And then every year in December, that by the way is another humans made up name, because technically nothing of this is real. Like months is not real, days are not real, time is not real. What we created, we made it, and then we made more, like, you know, when enough people believes the narrative, then it becomes the truth. But there is no truth. The truth is whatever you want to believe, and in this case you don't want to believe because they make you believe it, thinking that you want to believe. It's called life conditionings, and I'm been you know, part of it. I'm inside this life conditioning. Everything is life conditioning. The fact you speak a certain language instead of another, the fact that you hold the passport believing that that's where you belong. This is all life conditioning, and sadly I'm part of it. The only difference is that I am aware, you know, about that I've been brainwashed for a long time, and I'm aware of all those life conditioning that like I do play some of the rules, but again with the difference that I do questioning. I do ask myself what all of this is, and that's what I make those videos for, make you think and questioning as well. What the hell it's all of this, and to stop believing whatever bullshit they tells you, right? This is just smoke, right? It's just from the airplanes, the condense, you know. I didn't have any of that shit when I was a kid. I didn't have that shit when I was a kid. When I was a kid, didn't exist that shit on the sky. But I told you that that's normal. That's all the airplanes lives it. Anyway, so what is this video about? What I wanna try this time, what I'm trying this time to make you questioning. So this is a story that happened long time ago. It started here in this town called San Benedetto degli stronzi. Nice, mi ha detto del tronto. So, what is the story about? The story is set in Madrid, and it's when I was a teenager. That was my first trip outside Italy, and as I did many times, I was traveling on my own. That it became my way to traveling alone, and just in rare cases traveling with friends. But at the time that happened because no one could afford the ticket. Everybody was too busy, spending money for alcohol, drugs, clothes, and other bullshits to have enough money for traveling and and understand the rest of the world. Again, life conditioning. We made to believe that drinking a lot of alcohol is normal. That to take drugs, they take drugs not normal, but they kind of like happily introduce it in our lives as a tool of control, and we felt properly. We've been conditioned that certain clothes that have a brand are cool, same as fashion. They conditioning us believing that certain type of clothes one year are cool, another year are not cool anymore, and so on. Houses, cars, bikes, and so on. So I wasn't into that, not yet. I had that kind of period as well, and I was off to Madrid. First trip outside Italy on my own. Didn't speak English, didn't speak Spanish, and the trip started in the best way. After I think 1 day or 2 days, I could not withdraw any more cash. My credit card didn't work in Spain, even if, obviously, typical of Italy, typical of the Italian organizations. They told me, my bank at the time told me, there is no problem. You will be able to use this card with no issues. And obviously there was, because as soon as I finished the cash I had with me, and the card did not work. So what happened was that I had no money, and the only way to get more cash was through Western Union. This is a company where basically you can transfer money overseas. It would take 2 days. So for 2 days I had no money for food, money for nothing. Thanks God I already paid for the hotel in advance, and I had to be forever grateful for the guy at the reception that helped me sneaking out food from the kitchen to me, so that for that 2 days I was able to eat. Wherever you are, my friend, muchas gracias. So that already was, a memory. It wasn't fun at the time, but it became a memory and a story to tell afterwards. But what is this story about? It's not about the trip in Madrid, but it's about religions, and in this case it's about Catholic faith. So I was born in Italy, where majority of the population it's Catholic faithful. Again, this is life conditioning, brainwash. Now you were born in one country, and in that country they tell you that you are Catholic, Muslim, Jew, Buddhist, Hindu, and they tell you to believe it unconditionally, not questioning why, just believe it. So obviously growing up, because everything's that be installed in your mind, the subconscious, since young age, then it becomes your reality, and you will believe it unconditionally. You will fight for it. You will kill in the name of that belief that is being implanted inside your head as subconscious when you're a kid. So that's what happened to me. You know, you are Catholic. At school you have a Catholic subject. So we had at the time, it's no longer now, but we had a compulsory religion subject school. And obviously my family, they were all being happily brainwashed. So my mom was a Catholic, you know, conservative and faithful, going to the church every Sunday. My grandmother as well, going to the church every morning. So I grew up with like this, you know, and I had to be honest. I mean, why people believes in religions? Because the religion gives them a reason to live. They give you some answers that you won't have otherwise. So it makes your life easier. Because going through life not having any beliefs, it's hard for most of us. So that's why we needed to hold in something. I don't say that it has to be, it shouldn't be, it should hold other value, even if we don't understand what life is about. But it's true that because of our fucked up society, religions give us a relief, and it was for me the same. I mean, I went through before I left at 26, I went through a really tough time when I was a teenager until the age of 26. Depression, heavy anxiety, mental health issues, and the only things that literally kept me slightly sane mentally, it was because of this belief in Jesus, in God, and all the, you know, and all the story that Catholicism tells you. So all of that gave me like give me hope. So in that time, you know, in that dark time I was going through, it helped me. It, you know, it gave me answers when I did not have it, and I was completely going mad, and until at some point I did try to commit suicide. That was mostly due to fucking medication that the fucking psychiatrist gave me at the time, that literally was actually the reason why I was actually going even deep down in that dark rabbit hole. But even this is another story for another time, you know, like how easily doctors, especially psychologists and psychiatrists, how easily they give you fucking drugs that basically keep you screwed for the rest of your life, if you're lucky enough to get out of them. Because that's what those medication does. They are highly addictive, and they keeps you in a vicious circle where if you don't have it, you're craving them, and when the effect finish, you feel even more shit than before. So you keep taking it until you completely, actually, they are the one that at some point they really completely fucked your brain. But even this is gonna be another story. So going back to the Catholic faith. So again, at the time, and to be honest, it helped me, and it helped me to go through all that darkness that was within myself. But something would change. This is what happened in Madrid, and now we are heading back to Madrid. So one evening I went out partying, and I went to this nightclub, famous nightclub in Madrid called the Capital. It's X theaters on 6 floors, and X floors, no, there is a dance floor. Huge, stunning, and a lot of fun. And that's where everything started. So that's where my relationship with the Catholic faith ended. Or I mean, that was the beginning. And then slowly, you know, we broke up. So I was dancing when I saw this beautiful girl. If I remember, it was blonde. It was beautiful for sure. The body was literally so sexy. I remember the body, I remember the face, or I don't remember if it was both blonde or something else. But I remember that we start to kiss. We kiss, and then you know all the usual things. I'm gonna go into the details until, you know, like, she asked me to go to her place. So yes, of course. And when we arrived at her place, she tells me that, oh look, I have to tell you something before we have sex. I'm not a girl. I'm not a real girl. I'm a transgender. I'm a transsexual. Ooh la la. So obviously I was raised Catholic, and what Catholics and what Catholic religion says is that there is a man and there is a woman. There is no man that wants to be a woman, and there is no women that want to be men. There is no man going with other men, and there is no woman going with other women. And there is no man dressing as a woman. All of this, it's evil, and you needed to be away from it. Temptations, that's what it is. Don't fall into those tricks. And obviously I grew up believing that. And what those beliefs does is that anyone that is not in line with what they tell you, it becomes an outsider. It becomes someone to have fun of. It becomes someone to mistreat, offend. It's become an enemy. And you know, I grew up where on TV they would have fun of gays, they would have fun of transgenders. I grew up in this kind of societies, and for a period I lived in line with that, making jokes if someone was a bit too feminine, making jokes about you know, about anything that not was you know, in line with my conditioning of being a man. So that it basically, what happened that night, it planted a seed in my subconscious. So obviously I couldn't do it. I told her, look, I'm really sorry. I mean, I don't really remember how I actually reacted. I only remember that I said I couldn't, and I left. So I keep going through my holiday, forgot about the event, didn't give it much, you know, like much weight or much, I didn't care that much. But there was something that happened when I came back. So that's what, you know, like there was the seed, and then all the other events that took place over the years, you know, made me kind of like decide that, okay, enough is enough. This religion helped me for a while, and I'm grateful for that, but then that's it. So what happened is that, so I used to have, my family had, I worked for my mom that had a bookshop and a news agency. So at the time was the time where internet was at the real beginning. So there, you know, you didn't have the chance to, you know, surf the web, watching videos. No, internet was a real beginning. It was very slow. There wasn't a chance, and not really everybody had it. So what people used to do at the time was watching, reading magazine, watching videos on VHS, and then became DVD. But at the time we still had VHS. So obviously, as a news agent, we used to have porn magazines, and I remember, obviously, like as every teenager, I would take those magazines without my mom would know, and you know, using them, and then I would put back in the plastic because they were wrapped up in plastic. So I would wrap them up, put some tape, and put it back so that my mom would never know. And I started to take a porn magazine of transsexuals, and what I realized was that looking at those transgenders, I was getting really horny. I actually it really turned me on. So it was a drama. It was hard. It was a tragedy. Because why it was a tragedy? I could not understand what was going on. Like, why I am turned on watching a girl with a dick. So being completely integrated in the Catholic faith and living in a society that was Italy, is still like this, it's changing, but at the time the society I was growing up in didn't even exist. The terms of gays or lesbian or transgender did not exist. Nobody would talk about. The TV would not talk about. We didn't even know what that was. We didn't even know people that was like that. So I started to feel like, you know, I was going mad. What I am? I am gay. I am bisexual. This is bad. I don't want to be like this. Why I'm turned on watching these things? So it was really hard, because obviously, you know, on the mind level I could not accept that, because it was all those thoughts, they were going against the storyline that was written for me by the society I grew up, you know, the Italian society, and obviously the Catholic faith that belittled and denigrated and not accepted anything that was not what they call the traditional relationships. Okay, so it was hard. I was going and it was very hard. I was going really down with anxiety and depression, but that added more seeds in my head. That added more seeds in my head, and eventually more you know, questions arise. So I started to think, you know, about how is it possible that if a man you know, feel attracted by another man, or if a woman feel attracted by another woman, if a man feels strongly to be in the wrong body, and if a woman feels strongly to be in the wrong body, how God could blame them, how Jesus could blame them for those desires? I mean, if a man is not attracted by women, does not like them, and they're only attracted by men, so they were born like this. So how it's possible that God would punish them for that? If it's God that created them, you know, if we want to believe it to the narrative that God created us, okay? I don't know. Maybe it's possible. You know, I don't know. I have no idea. So, if God makes you like another man as a man, and then what? Then punish you? So obviously, the Catholic religion would tell you that that's what you want to believe because you're a pervert, because you're let the evil tempt you, so you can change, but you cannot change. This is bullshit. They tell you that there is not such a thing as a gay and lesbian. There is only man and woman. And if you are a man that likes another man, that means that you are wrong. You just want to believe that, but you don't really like it. It's just because, you know, you're a pervert, you know, whatever. It's not like this. So, if God did that, why then punish you? If God gives you a sexual listing, you know, that you can release by masturbation, by masturbating, why He would punish you then? Because that's another thing about the Catholic faith. If you masturbate, it's a sin. If you drink alcohol, it's a sin. If you smoke, it's a sin. So my head was going mad all around. So God gives you temptations, but mostly it was more about sex and sex life. Like it's kind of like God gives you this sexual urge, but then punish you if you have sex before marriage, if you don't do sex for making kids, if you do masturbate, blah blah blah, and so on. And then obviously, you know, all those questioning then brought to the hypocrisy of the church. And you know, like I mean, they, you know, I remember kind of like they, you know, remember thinking, oh, they preach about simplicity. They live in like castles, basically, because the building where they, you know, where they do preach are literally buildings that costed millions and they don't really need. So all this hypocrisy, you know, like they talk about helping Africa, and they talk about that from, you know, altars, like from building filled up of furniture that just selling one of them would you know, give food to Africa for a year. So all those questions eventually took me to this new path where religion didn't have space, or at least not the human made up religions did not have any more space. Yes, I developed my own beliefs, and some of them I don't have proof of it. So that's why I always say when I talk to people, I like to believe to certain things because it's something that I feel inclined to believe, but I don't have proof of it. So I'm not gonna preach around say you have to believe it. So I developed my own beliefs that I insert, you know, in actually many for many things they takes, you know, they borrow some from all those religions that, you know, like established religion, because I mean I'm a human being, and obviously all human beings as very similar in certain aspects. It's inevitably all those religions around the world, we have many things in common. Well, I don't want to get more in details about like religions, because I think this is something else to talk about another time. But anyway, I have my own beliefs, and that was the hand. Like, there was the hand, and I never looked back. As I said earlier, I'm grateful because it helped me, you know, during a really dark time, and I'm really grateful. But as I evolved, there was no more space for this fate that, you know, is very full of hypocrisy and lie. And then even the people that preach them, it's not their fault. You know, they are same, you know, like me. They're being conditioned by young age to believe it, and you know, in their own way, that gave them a purpose, and they just repeat the script, not knowing if it's right or wrong. They just unconditionally believe that. They never question it. They just accept it, because they were surrounded by millions of people that just accepting it. And again, if millions of people believe one thing, it does not mean that it's right or it's true, right? We can see, you know, through the history, how many people believe something to be true, even if that true killed and murdered millions of people. So that should have been already enough for many of us to questioning what is true, what is, or what they tell us to be the truth. But anyway, that was the hand. And in New Zealand, there was something that evolved in something more about, you know, homosexuality, being bisexual, being transgender or lesbian. In Auckland, that was years later, I met a girl in a club. She was Thai, from Thailand, and you know, we met. She was really beautiful, and I was attracted by her, and we started dating. And she was keen, you know, she was keen on me, she liked me. And one evening she wanted to make clear that before we would move on to the next stage, that she was transsexual. And I mean, I wasn't shocked, because I was just surprised, because she, you know, like, obviously she was taking hormones from young age, so her body, her voice, everything was of a woman, and so I would not expect that. And we got into a relationship for a short time, but that short story was enough for me to even stop believing in labels. You know, we have those labels, you know, gay, lesbian, transgender, vegetarian, vegan, blah blah blah. They're labels. They're labels to literally, I believe, to divide us, because oh, she is lesbian, oh, he is gay. What does it mean? We are all human beings that loves in our own way, and loves has no gender. Love got no labels. That's why I don't like to pointing to someone as oh, he's gay, oh, he is lesbian. it means nothing. It's just labels that should not even exist. It should not even exist. Oh, you are Italian, you are French, you are Spanish. They should not exist. Those labels should not exist. They should be erased, removed. So that story with this girl taught me these important lessons. That love have no labels, that love have no gender. All that matter, it's love, and love have many ways to express himself. So love as much as you can, and it's hard because our society, it's made up of everything that is the opposite of love. Love unconditionally, and love wherever you feel attracted to love, and questioning life, questioning truth, questioning society, questioning everything that tells you. Happy New Day to everybody.